Alright, come join Kyle, John and David as they go through what's on the playlist, find out what's everyone's favourite at Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. We have a few segments, to be honest, in and out points, no celebs and the gossip, back in time where we're talking about the big M's, coming attractions, what the cue, quick checks, who'll be laughing, you abundantly. Welcome to Dual Redundancy.
Yes, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all latest in television, entertainment news with too many else with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick, and the third one is
Kyle Bridger. I would say that I'm like a judge, so I'm going to say that I'm the jury duty to John's beef because he makes up this whole meal that we've got going on here. To Dave, you can be Dave. You can be Dave. Yes, with your misshapen beef.
Whoa, okay. Whoa. Hang on a second there.
he told you not to tell anybody.
I mean, or you could be a Ken in a Barbie movie, and that have none at all.
Yeah,
but,
like a 48-year-old Ken or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know about that. Anyways, yes, we're going to be talking about all of those shows, and then we're going to add in late breaking after last night's crazy episode of Succession. We're going to talk about that at the end as well. We're going to break it all down. A lot to do tonight. We got to jump into the show. John, what's the first segment?
In and out points.
In or the out. In or the out. In, out.
Yes, it is in and out points. And we've been discussing, in the last few podcasts, the expanding worlds of a lot of Warner Brothers Discovery products. I mean, Lord of the Rings, I Am Legend, all those different franchises were getting prequels and sequels and reboots and all that stuff. Well, don't worry, Warner Brothers Discovery is not done yet. We may have a new Game of Thrones spinoff coming. A prequel series about Aegon Targaryen's conquest of Westeros is currently being discussed. The show will tell the story of how Aegon and his sister wives used their army and their 3 dragons to conquer 6 of the 7 kingdoms of Westeros. And in doing so, Aegon the First became the first king of Westeros, the first to sit on the Iron Throne, spoiler alert, and the founder of the Targaryen dynasty. Those events all take place approximately 300 years prior to the events of the original Game of Thrones. Who's excited? John, are you in?
Can we finish what we already have going first? I can't follow what happened in Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. You want me to add a third series onto here? Like, there's too many different groups that I can't visualize. It's too much. It's too much. Get out of here.
Prequel of a prequel, right? Because it's all the same family, just many years before that. Kyle, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I can barely remember what episodes of TV I just watched, and let alone the lore that's needed to be known for some of these series. And I'm not saying that, whatever they're eyeing or whatever they're looking at doing isn't cool, but show me the results when it happens, because I feel like a lot of this stuff is like development, and then nothing ever happens, or it's just like all speculation. And it's like, at the end of the day, does HBO want to spend a bunch of money on more dragon CGI? I don't know. It depends on how, this House of Dragons. I'm with John. I want to finish what we've already got and then maybe start something after that, but it's too much, man.
Because it's exciting when there's a new Game of Thrones. Like, okay, maybe these 8 weeks of the year, it's Game of Thrones time. But it's like if you do the Marvel, Star Wars, Disney approach and have every other day there's a new, these first 8 months or the first 8 weeks of the year is The Mandalorian. The next 8 weeks is this Star Wars thing. And then the next 8 weeks is this. It's like, let us forget Star Wars.
Exactly.
Let us forget Marvel. And then, what's this new one coming? Oh, this is great. Yeah. I don't know. HBO always does this with the Game of Thrones, because I remember when the original ended and there was 4 or 5 series in development, and one was even outside of House of the Dragon. One was even cast, shot, Like they're like, nope, we don't like it, and they threw it out. They're protecting the brand with it. I mean, where's this Jon Snow show that they announced whatever years ago? Like, what are we doing? I guess maybe they passed. I don't know, but I don't know. There's early talks about this still, but sources are saying that there actually may be a feature component to this project. In other words, HBO and Warner Brothers would produce a feature film that would lead into the potential series. Those plans are in flux at the present time.
Too much.
So you got to watch the movie that can set up the series, which is a prequel to the prequel of the original series based on a book.
Yeah, it's almost like the 3-episode drop that some streaming services do. It's like, why not just do it that way? I don't understand it. They're just trying to package content differently to make you think that you're getting something different. It's all the same stuff, you know?
Yeah. It's just a different label. And Disney's doing something similar with this with Star Wars. They also announced 3 films this week, all in the Star Wars canon here. There's a prequel film about the dawn of the Jedi, a film following the events of Rise of Skywalker with Daisy Ridley's Rey character. And then the most related to this news story is a movie about the New Republic that would connect directly and be a climactic event for the streaming series Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, and the Book of Boba Fett. So, in other words, there's going to be some movie that connects directly to, I don't know, 40 episodes of TV at this point between those 3 different series that sets up a climactic event for those TV series. Guys, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Why is Star Wars going in 3s for everything?
Yeah, it's always trilogies. It's always, it's what are they doing? But I don't know. It's just so much work. I don't want to have to watch 300 hours of something just to keep up, to just even know what's going on. And I really think we've kind of seen it a little bit with the box office receipts of the last few superhero films with Ant-Man. I mean, I think people are just getting exhausted. Like, I haven't heard like almost anything really like good about the Mandalorian season right here. Those first 2 seasons were like huge. And I'm not hearing much for season 3. And I think there's just too much.
It's also in how it's made. Like if they're doing something unique to a movie or to make it a little bit different. But when you see the same Marvel movie, similar style, it's like, what incentive do I have, to go and watch this as just like a regular dude? I mean, I'm not into like the characters as much as everyone else. So I just get, it's just like another one to me. And I don't get excited by it. And I know I'm different, and I don't come at me because but it's just, I just don't see any stylistically or visually anything different between some of these films. So it's like, why bother? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. If you're annoyed that you need to see like 40 episodes of 3 series to follow movies, you won't need to do that for our next thing here, because Warner Brothers Discovery is close to a deal for a new online TV series based on the 7 Harry Potter books. So you only need to read 7 books or have seen the movies, because each season will be based on one of J.K. Rowling's 7 books that were already turned into 8 movies. We are rebooting the Harry Potter movie franchise into a TV series.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Money.
Yeah.
All right, that's our show tonight. I'm David Allen.
Yeah, that's the only reason. I mean, these films are still at least fresh in my mind, but they want to get that new generation each time. So what are they going to get them with? People love binging TV shows. Why not try and get them that way? But there's no way that it will be as good as some of the films were. And we're talking one book is a whole series. When we're talking about the early Harry Potter books, they're pretty thin. You know what I mean? What are we doing here?
I don't think that would be so bad, because you can extrapolate all that stuff to be, side adventures of Harry Potter. Like there's stuff to fill in there. I think the big issue for a lot of people is going to be that Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter. Like Emma Watson is Hermione.
He's the face of the franchise. Like there's so much merchandise. Just the Harry Potter world is one of the most popular attractions at the Universal Studio theme park. It's like you already have this world, and you're trying to expand it with the Fantastic Beasts films that completely flopped. So if you really squeeze out this sponge, there might not be too much left if you keep like rebooting it. Just these things are already so popular. These movies, we've talked about it, how they jump back and forth between Peacock and HBO. Peacock, because they're hot properties. People are still watching these movies over and over and over again. And it's just, I
also think it could be, the Harry Potter game just came out recently. And I think that did really, really well. So maybe they're thinking that, it doesn't have to be Daniel Radcliffe or Emma Watson or Rupert Grint, as these characters. People can relate to, other things associated with the label. But I agree. I think when they tried to expand to Fantastic Beasts, I was just like, I don't want any part of this. And part of me wonders if this is trying to be like a redemption thing for J.K. Rowling, because I heard she would be more involved with this. Yeah.
No. She doesn't need that. Get out of here. I don't want that. I don't want her involved at all. But of course, she's gonna keep making money off of this. But whatever.
All right, hear me out.
Yeah.
People want to be immersed in the world. What if we did a TV show? No, we do a TV show, but it's first person, a la Hardcore Henry.
Okay. So we are Harry Potter.
You are Harry Potter, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I might have something there. As long as it's not some NFT
trademark
metaverse, I'm in. I'll do anything but the metaverse at this point. But okay. I mean, I like the books, I like the movies. It'd be cool that some of the stuff that they cut from the movies or cut from the books, to be, whatever is in the TV series. But I don't know if I need all these hours of, whoever it's going to be 8-10 hours per book. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think for some of the later movies, you needed to have seen or read some stuff from the book in order to get the full context, because the books are so massive.
Yeah. There they are. They're there. But all right. That is it for In and Out Points. We're going to talk about a trailer. I don't know. Is this a Warner Brothers movie? And let me double check. It might be. John, play the clip.
Here are some exciting coming attractions.
We're talking about the Barbie movie. It is a Warner Brothers picture, so we're staying in the family here.
Oh boy.
I don't know too much about this movie. I know Margot Robbie is Barbie. Ryan Gosling is Ken. They're in a world filled with other Barbies and Kens, and Michael Cera's Alan. That's all I really know. And I am so flabbergasted with what this movie is, who it's for. I got a lot of questions. I want to break it down. John, start me off. What did you think of the Barbie trailer?
I mean, it had some funny parts. I mean, I wasn't expecting everybody. I mean, I never, obviously in the world of Barbie, everyone's named Barbie, everyone's named Ken, but like, they're all hello Barbie, all over the place, and that was kind of funny. I know we kind of talked before the show a little bit about it, but yeah, what is this for? Like, there were some jokes in there that weren't really for kids who play with dolls in the trailer. So who knows what it's going to be like in the actual movie? But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's aimed towards people about our age, to be honest. I can't see how it's not. Like, I don't think Barbie is as popular now as it was when we were younger. So I can only imagine that it's kind of more trying to hit, people our age. But I honestly don't know.
Yeah, this is wild. You mentioned one of the lines because, is this a kid's film? But the trailer ends with the beat you off joke.
Yeah, no.
It's just, and I'm surprised Mattel okayed that. I'm surprised they'll allowed that with this brand, because when you first see it, it's like, oh, this film is maybe for a big commercial, the kids and the families can go together to see this film. But then you get a joke like that. We looked up the rating. Supposedly it's PG-13, which also seems wild. I mean, for a franchise like this. And then you're like, oh, is it just like a cash grab, from this studio? But then you see it's written by Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach. Okay, and it's directed by Greta Gerwig, Lady Bird, and Little Women. It's like, what is happening here? Kyle, what did you think of this trailer?
I'm definitely interested, just like you guys. I mean, I think I actually got more interested by the trailer because I was like, I heard who was writing it, directing it, and that's and the cast, and you're like, oh wow. But seeing the cast in action and like how stylized it looks, it's definitely interesting, and I'm kind of excited to see it, which I didn't think I would say that before. Before the trailer.
Double feature, man. You got to do it.
I'm in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard somebody talking about this movie and how they think it could be Barbie's in like this heavily sanitized world, and she's trying to break free from this.
Don't worry, darling, Stepford Wives.
Like trying to get out, and that Kate McKinnon is like the abused Barbie in this.
She has like a marker all over her face,
the playpen kind of thing. So
it might be like some like Lego movie stuff. I mean, Will Ferrell's in this movie as a CEO, kind of like he was in the Lego movie as a parent outside of the world there. But the cast you mentioned, Kate McKinnon, Issa Rae, Dua Lipa, they're Barbies. You got Helen Mirren, John Cena is also in this movie. The production design, it's like bright, colorful, so detailed. There's dance sequences, so much going on. I'm really curious of just like how this is going to perform. We're going to talk about it when we for sure on our next podcast with a little with draft coming up. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's opening the same day as Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Like these two crazy weird films, and the internet just loves this movie. There is a character poster, as you can see here, for everyone in the film. There was, every single one for Barbie is like, Barbie is, and there's like a great skill or an accomplishment. But then for Ken, all the Ken posters, it's like Ken is just Ken, or here's another Ken again. Like it's like this like funny little thing, and the internet really took a hold of this. People are making their own creations with other folks. Of course, you got Gwyneth Paltrow here, Miss Scoop. A lot of them are pretty much like she's everything and he's just Ken, and then they'll show like a couple from a pop culture thing. Everyone's doing it. Every single person is getting on the Barbie train, including this podcast.
Oh God.
Here we are. Three Kens on the podcast, but
what a terrible photo. Look at me, dude.
I was struggling to get these photos. I'm not gonna lie, I Facebook stalked you, and it's like there's no photos before like 2019 on the internet of Kyle that I could easily get. So it's like, well, I'm using the podcast episode and this is what I could get. So all right, well, that's all we got for the Barbie trailer for now. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more about it as the release July 21st approaches. But all right, we got some shows to talk about. We have 4 shows to talk about over 2 segments. Let's start off with the first segment. Let's go back.
Back in time. We're back, baby.
Gotta get back in time.
All right, we're going to start off with Beef. And it was the series premiere. The birds don't sing, they screech in pain. And it was on Netflix. It all dropped on April 6th. And this dramedy stars Steven Yeun and Ali Wong as 2 people whose involvement in a road rage incident begins to really consume their entire life. All right, let's start off with John. What did you think of Beef?
Yeah, I enjoyed the first episode. I thought it was pretty good. I can see they're doing a lot of setup, but it didn't feel. Some shows you get into it and it's like it's like a riptide. You're being pulled out to sea in the setup, and this didn't feel like it. This felt like we just hopped into the world and saw the events as they happened. Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked the characters and who they're playing. I thought it was kind of funny at some parts and how they're portraying some of the characters, but overall I enjoyed it and I'm looking forward to seeing some more, I think.
Yeah. Kyle, what did you think of the premiere?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. Like John, I thought they dropped us into the world of, these. They're kind of two similar characters, even though they're financially very different, but they're going through the same things. And I think that's gonna be where the show is heading, and maybe they eventually team up together. I don't know where the future seasons could go, but I think Ali Wong is great in that
Yeah.
character. She plays that like on edge wife that's busy but also doing everything so well. And just the struggles that you're gonna see Stephen Yoon go through. So yeah, I'm interested. And the chase down scene, the road rage incident is like a great way to get you right into it. And so I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
Kyle
the whole
mentioned,
open was great. Yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah,
John.
I mentioned them teaming up, and it almost seemed like a little bit of spoilers for that episode, but when they were in the house together, she almost seemed like she was either into him or into the danger he represented, and it kind of all fell apart when he soiled the bathroom. But it was interesting because you can see
Well, yeah.
like.
And he was under the assumption, the stereotypical, like, oh, this guy cut me off and, where's your husband? I want to talk to him kind of thing. And then it's like, once he finds out, and that's their thing, like, this definitely was like a premise pilot at first, where it's like, lots of setup of who they are. Some of it at first felt like it was cliche, like, oh, he's poor, he's living with his brother, he's involved in crypto. And of course, that $20,000 loan is going to disappear quickly. Surprise, surprise, when you gamble with stocks. But then as the show went on, it didn't feel as cliche. I mean, Stephen Yeun is there, like, a very dark moment, possibly trying to kill himself with the grills he's buying and returning in his house. There's that odd scene with Ali Wong and in a gun, getting some kind of pleasure from the clicks or the trigger of it all. So it starts off like, oh, you think, oh, like, pretty basic, but as it goes on and they really, showcase these characters, set this show up, you get more and more intrigued of like where this could go. Is it like some kind of spy versus spy game, like those classic comics of like each one trying to one up each other with a different prank or a different, revenge type thing? Or John mentions, yeah, maybe they somehow team up against somebody at the end there. I mean, who knows? But it's going to be an odd show when they end with Hoobastank's the reason. Anything with Hoobastank,
God, yeah, I know.
it's an odd show. But yeah, so I guess anything else with this initial incident, John, with like how they shot it, the whole road rage incident?
No, I thought it was filmed well. I enjoyed it. It kept my attention, which is, not every show does that we watch. And I if it wasn't so late last night, I probably would have watched some more, but I think I ended it at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, that's it for me. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
And it's interesting too that they showed most of it from his perspective. So again, you're almost maybe, if you were maybe living under a rock and you just clicked on the show and you didn't know that Ali Wong was in this initially, you maybe thought also, oh yeah, it was this guy also cutting him off. But like, no, you find out later that it was her behind the wheel there. But Kyle, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going to mention, is like the just what you mentioned, that John, or the way it was shot, we assume it's a dude. But I also like the fact that they entered the the poor guy's lawn, the security camera for the lawn, because we see her at the end worried that somebody's going to find out about that it was her doing that, because it all leads back to this big job that she needs, which was with this crazy CEO. That this show had some crazy lines like the woman saying, "Oh, I could just go to China and get it cheaper," when talking about her creative design or whatever.
The other woman
Yeah.
talking in Japanese to her and being
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
learned it." Like,
Well,
yeah,
and that's an
all right,
interesting
buddy.
thing where obviously like race is going to, possibly play a part in this story. I mean, we see I don't know if this is like a nitpick, like with the whole thing with the handyman, him taking care of the branches. And
Mhm.
I was a little confused at first. Like there's this couple he's working for at the house, and when he first does it, or at least offers to do it, we hear them through the doorbell kind of thing. It's like, oh, you're gonna fire him? He's so annoying. And and like, oh, was that just a mistake? Was they like pressing the button? Like something was weird there. Because then later, when he falls from the tree, they actually press the button to talk to them. Like, yeah, we need to talk. So
Mhm.
I was a little confused with that. But you have this situation with both, Stephen and Allie here. But from what I've been reading, initially, first they were conceiving it possibly either of two things: her character either being an Asian man or a Stanley Tucci type. So it's like an interesting way that they kind of shaped the show. Because as John was saying, when Steven actually goes to Allie's place, it's like, oh, do they have some kind of chemistry? Could they? But like, possibly if it was Stanley Tucci, I mean, who wouldn't with Stanley Tucci? But still, it's just a whole different show.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're thinking about Stanley Tucci right now, huh? You
Yeah,
can't get that
I
out of your
know.
head.
I didn't know where to go with that one, honestly. I did not know where to go with that one. But yeah, no. I wanted to watch more. I'm definitely down with it. The performances were great. All of it was great.
Yeah. I guess one last thing to talk about with Ali Wong's character was, we talked about the scene with the gun, and her husband, changed the safe combo on the where the gun is located. And it's like, why I didn't tell you. And I'm curious, like, what you guys maybe think. Is it a history of depression? Is it a history of violence? I mean, there's something with that clicking noise, with that trigger that is, like excites her. Like,
Yeah,
so do you have any
I
ideas
mean,
of what it could be?
it could be the thrill, the danger, and maybe at one point she didn't handle it correctly and fired it. Who knows, and maybe that's part of the reason why they had to remodel and all that. I mean, you could link it in so many different ways, but yeah, I think he knows that she, it's chasing some sort of danger, some sort of thrill or whatever, and recognizes that that's not the right way to do it, and is trying to prevent her from, basically playing with a firearm. But who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I totally agree with John. I think it's probably the most likely she has a history of rage, or we see her have some rage, so we can assume maybe she does have a history of rage, and therefore he doesn't want her to get at it, or she's done something previously with it before. Why else would you lock something up and not give somebody the combo? I mean, if they've tried to use it in the past or have used it incorrectly or in a bad manner in the past,
Yeah, especially when there is also a child at home.
yeah.
So so we're gonna have to wait and see. It sounds like we're all interested in checking out more. So that's on our list to check out more beef. But let's see. Does anybody want to return to go through jury duty? That's our next question here. That's our next series we're talking about. Now, this series follows the workings of an American jury trial through the eyes of Ronald, a juror who is unaware that the entire case is fake. Everyone except him is an actor, and everything that happens is carefully planned. Now, I want to start off. This thing is on Amazon's Freevee. Yes, this is a streaming service that Amazon has called Freevee.
Do we know how many? How many people watch this?
I've been seeing it all over TikTok, so I don't understand. Like, this is catching on TikTok with the younger demo here. But
if Amazon has their own platform already, why would you not want to tie it into that? Even if it's free still, tie it into that to keep your people, all your customers in the same ecosystem so that they don't need to go somewhere else. And you can say, oh, hey, you enjoyed this. Maybe check out this show that's, you got to subscribe to Prime, but check out this show that's very similar. Like, why are we taking the customer base and like trying to push them away? Like I don't know. It seems weird. Does it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I guess it's to make money because on this, while it's freebie, yes, it is free for us, but you're watching ads, and then they can charge for those ads and get that subscription there. And which is annoying because for an Amazon Prime subscriber like myself, can I watch this without ads? Like it's all in this ecosystem. Like I should be able to watch this without ads. But did anyone have trouble finding this or watching this? I mean, I thought it all was okay. I still watched it through Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up watching it. But
yeah,
it was an odd experience to say the least. Trying to figure out freebie.
The only thing I could think of is that maybe can you watch freebie like it's TV, like and have it on in the background? Like, is it playing like old TV shows?
I don't think so. I don't think it's like a Pluto or a Tubi or something like that. I mean, maybe
because I was thinking maybe it's Amazon's way of trying to create
like a fast channel, possibly.
Yeah, and then have this Prime. So then when they eventually take over the globe, they have the illusion of choice. You can watch freebie or you can watch Prime. And it's like, well, it's like you're all going back to the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
You're paying one way or another.
Yep.
All right. But let's talk about this show, though. This is not what I expected going like on at all. Like I initially heard of this show and I thought, okay, it's going to be the Joe Schmo show, from back in the day. It's going to be this like reality show. They're going to prank this guy. But this show doesn't break really the fourth wall. Everyone is playing it real except for, well, I guess he is playing it real because he thinks it's real. But so it helps make it feel less like of a mean prank because everyone's keeping the reality of the scene. Everyone is, it's I think the closest thing is the Joe Schmo mixed with like The Office or Parks and Rec. Like it is this comedy where there's all these like wacky characters not breaking, it's really hard to explain without like having to watch it. It's give it a shot, watch it on Freevee. But John, what did you think of the premiere?
I enjoyed it. I thought there were some good parts. I don't know if I'm 100% sold that he's not in on it. For some reason, in the back of my head, we're
getting pranked.
Yeah, like I don't know. It could be like it's a premise that he's not in on it, but really he is, and he's playing that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's what's actually happening, but I can't shake that thought yet. I guess I got to watch some more just to make sure. But I mean, he seems too lighthearted and into it to be like, oh yeah, I'm on jury duty. Like, yeah, come on, dude. Nobody goes to jury duty and has fun. Like,
well, this one seems like, I mean, I've actually watched 4 of the episodes that they've released so far. If this was my jury duty experience, I would love to go to it because it was wild, the fun that they were having. But you bring up a good point where it's like, I have so many questions about like how they pulled this off because it's like, okay, so the guy gets like a fake jury duty letter. I was like, is that even legal to do that? And then they're shooting in like a real courthouse, seemingly somewhere, and like they're very lucky.
Judy's courthouse.
They're very lucky they picked a guy who doesn't seem to really recognize too much of TV and actors in LA.
Yeah.
And sure, a lot of the actors, I mean, we'll get to James Marsden in a second. We'll get to him in a second. But like a lot of the other actors are side characters. Maybe you've seen them here and there. There's one though that I instantly recognized from Parks and Rec. He was in 8 episodes. He's the Sewage Joe, I believe, from the sewage department there. He was on Community, NCIS, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think he just did a stint on Reservation Dogs. Like, this guy's an actor. He's working. He's not playing himself here. He's playing some other random character on this jury case. But I could go on and on. I got more to say. But Kyle, what did you think of the premiere?
I thought it was interesting. I think I'm with John. I don't know. I don't know if he's like too. I don't know. Maybe it's so real. It's almost too real. And I can't tell. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like after seeing James Marsden in this first episode, I would be like, something's off here. I think if he's not in on it, I think he probably had suspicions. You know what I mean? early
No, I
on.
get that. But with all that being said, I still think like the show, there's some like
Yeah.
good setup moments of like comedy, like
sure.
almost like if just pretend like they're all
Yeah.
actors and you're watching Parks and Rec. Okay, this
Yeah.
is a funny episode. Like,
yeah, I agree. There are some moments that are pretty funny. The one that I think had me dying was the guy who like sheepishly said he was
Yeah.
racist
Oh,
and then had to
no.
backtrack it. It was like so cringeworthy. And our main guy was like, "Did he really just do that? I can't believe he just did that."
well, that's definitely like one of the interesting things about it because it's almost like the rehearsal or like a Nathan Fielder, piece here that there is so much like setup that they have to do.
Yeah.
Because like they have to like incept this idea into him to like mess with him where he tells one jury member, "Oh, like, how do you get out of it?" Like they ask him, he's like, "Well, you could act
Yeah.
racist." So then he tries it later, and then the judge is like, "Who told
yeah.
you to do this?" And he's just
Yeah.
sitting in his seat.
Yeah.
And-
that was the line. Who told you to do? Yeah, because I was like, oh my God.
And how much of this is pre-planned and how much of this is like, oh shit, that's even better. Let's improvise. Like, where does that line fall and how is it, how do they deal with that live? Like, do they have earpieces? Like, you don't see that, but I can't imagine them coordinating during breaks. Like, do they call breaks every few minutes? Because like, they're filming the jury duty, so they need like, you know what I mean? Like, how do they handle that?
Yeah, because I mean, on the Joe Schmo show, to go back to it, I think there was like production meetings in the morning. And you would see them like, okay, this is what we're doing today. But in this, they're playing it like this is real and it's like it's happening in real time. And I'm really curious to like how they're doing this. We'll get to some of the technicalities that they have to do to set up this world. But you guys mentioned James Marsden, and he's playing himself here, making fun of himself. He's definitely one of the highlights of this show. And there's some jokes that are like planned, I think are just funny, where he's like the judge, who is actually Ike Barinholtz's dad, who's just his dad. He's an attorney. He's not an actor. But he's great in this.
That's hilarious.
And he's saying that like, because he's like, anyone who can't do this. And James Marsden's like, well, I'm kind of like a recognizable figure. He's like, I don't recognize you. Who are you? And, and then there's like, well, oh, you already served on a jury. Where was that? Cannes. The film festival jury. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Like, so there's like little jokes like that. But then there's some that are completely like unplanned that our main real guy, sees him and he's like, James Marsden's listing all of his movies and projects. And he says Sonic. He's like, oh, you were in Sonic? The one with the Jim Carrey? I heard that was pretty bad. Saying it right to his face when he just meets him. And then you get this best thing like the next day where he's he went home and he's like, I ended up watching it, and he's like then apologizing. Actually it's a really funny movie, like, and they actually become like this friendship, and it's just, but I don't know. There's so many rules that they like, I feel like are kind of stretching with like jury duty to make this thing work, because first of all, they're sequestering them. Which is like, okay, like what is this case? This isn't the OJ trial. This isn't like But and then you'll see it. I don't know if this was in the first episode or like in a later episode, but the half of the jury is at one hotel, and so there's like a van bringing half the jury to one hotel, probably because the other half, going home to their houses because they're actors. And then James Marsden, he gets a special like privilege, and they work it out where it's like, yeah, like I could pay for this bailiff or whatever, this security guard. I could stay at my house, but he's going to be with me and blah, 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 blah. Like, again, because James Marsden, but, so there's a lot of rules that they're kind of like breaking to make this, reality series in a way. But, outside of that, this jury duty experience is very similar to the jury duty experience like I went through. Like I'm watching this and it's almost like too real. Like, oh yeah, there is going to be an hour and a half break after doing 5 minutes of work.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we just got here. Oh, it's 4:30. We got to leave. Like, but
that did happen.
Oh man, but yeah. So like I said, I've seen for that what's been released so far. I'm gonna keep going with it. I like these type of experimental TV stuff, from the rehearsal to Joe Schmo to all that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely interested to see where this goes. And I'm honestly just like into it as like a Parks and Rec type comedy with wacky characters and, you know, hijinks. But
Yeah. For me, I kind of came out of it a little bit when and I realized why they have to do it, but when they started doing the what is it? The
confessionals.
confessionals with like these make-believe people. I'm like, I don't really care. I want to see more interactions either in the courtroom or together or something, because I know that this is all just made up. So why am I just getting you? You know what I mean?
That's true. And it's interesting that there's at points where like, because then our fake guy is like they do like joint confessionals and he's with like an actor and they're talking and like I think I can't remember the exact wording, but one was just like, oh, this is like just so wild. Like, you know, he's like something like with acting, and the guy's like, yeah, like, you know, he kind of is like there's like this like one of those moments where it's like, I know something, you know, going on and you don't. But
Yeah.
um anyways, that's Jury Duty. It's on Freevee if you have it. But all right, we got two more to talk about. Let's just do another segment. I feel like because I don't have too much to say about this first one here. Just maybe a quick check-in on it. We're gonna quickly talk about Dave season 3 premiere. There's actually 2 episodes. We're mostly going to focus on Texas, but there was also Harrison Ave. These episodes dropped on April 5th. Dave Bird, or Little Dicky, is back and he's on the road for his cross-country Looking for Love tour. All right, Kyle, what do you think of Dave?
It's absurd. It somehow,
So it's Dave.
yeah, it bridges that gap between like totally absurd and there's some actual heart there. And I think that's what makes the show great, because we're seeing maybe the downsides of fame that he probably initially thought he wanted, but now he's not getting fulfillment from it, mixed in with can you make my penis rise in a certain way? It's just like, it's so absurd. You know what I mean? But
I
there
know.
is some
Yeah.
heart there.
That's exactly my like notes pretty much. Minus few of those words that you said. It feels like Dave, and it's like you got the cold open wrap, the camera spinning around in confusion, like the cinematography's there. You got the gross out moments. You got the special, was it Skrargo or Skrargard or what was it? This whatever.
Oh yeah,
You know, you have
Sprogard.
you have the prop master, which this is in the second episode. I'll just mention prop master is using way too much material in a bedroom scene for this music video he's shooting about like his childhood. There's like multiple Daves running around like of different ages and stuff. It's a wild episode. It's actually well, I think of the 2, I really like this episode. It was one of those, it was moving so fast. There was like many long one takes that I felt like the anxiety of him shooting this music video because I was worried I'm missing jokes. It was moving so fast and like real time, a lot of the stuff. But there's all these like gross moments, as you mentioned. But then there's also this heart. I mean, he's honestly looking for love and connection on this tour. And so it's like you're mixing these 2 worlds and somehow it works. I don't know how, but these 2 polar opposite things just connect with this show. And I'm thinking, you know, as a possible episode, this is just an idea. Like I was thinking maybe it's going to happen. Maybe it's subverting our expectations, but Emma is like recording lots of material, behind the scenes stuff. I'm wondering, like, are we going to get like a documentary episode, you know, somewhere later on? Like maybe, you know, at some point he angers his crew because Dave is, let's be honest, pretty hard to work with. And the one in the show is also pretty hard to work with as well. I see what I did. Okay.
Yeah, I see
but
what you did there.
Maybe he angers his crew and it's like, okay, well, you know, he sees the playback of like all the good times and all their hard work and something like that in this document, you know, that is being shot. I don't know, but I think there's going to be a lot of great comedy that you can take from this, you know, him in this bus, him going across, you know, the country, going all these different places, meeting all these different people. I think there's a lot of potential here for the 3rd season.
Yeah, and do we know how many he's thinking of making? Because it still feels like it's rising and it's still it's still good, but I get worried for too much longer. I don't know why.
I've heard that he seems like, he's into, doing his more and more of
Okay.
this. Because he said he's like, I got the dream job right now. Like if I do another show, obviously I would have, it's a different character, it's a different person, but like this I can pull from my real life. I can pull real experiences. I can use my music. It's him. It's his, Curb Your Enthusiasm. And it's like, yeah, I think, who knows, maybe we'll get 4 or 5 seasons of this and then he goes away and comes back, because I think it's actually a big hit for FXX. So
Well, that's good.
I
still like it. I just am,
you never know these days with these shows. But I will say one bit of confusion with this tour. You saw in the first episode. So Gaeta, his hype man is counterpart there. He's also doing tour dates like separately from Dave, because there's a point where like Little Dicky is like, yeah, I'm not performing tonight. So it's just a solo show for Gaeta, like, and that's where I was like confused at first, because like all those people in there were also like, hey, come on, Dicky, get up there, like let's go. And it's just
so I think Gaeta is not as big of a star as Little Dicky. So Little Dicky's probably doing certain dates on the road, and then they stop, and Gaeta will do like one of the dates, like a date not associated with Dave, but just for Gaeta himself. And then Little Dicky's probably there to like help support him, and he didn't want to go on one night, so he just wanted to chill, and then he's like forced to go up. He's like, oh God, I just wanted to relax.
I think I got that. I was just like confused of like I think how the show set it up, because even like they were on like the bus and like there was like the other teenage concert goers there, and he's like, oh yeah, you're not performing tonight. It's like, oh no, I'm not going to do it tonight, kind of thing. And it just felt like it was like he woke up this morning and was like, I'm not doing this one tonight. And that's why I'm like, oh wait a minute, I don't understand how this is, because it also like I'm looking at like the venues. It's like they look like sort of similar. Like he's not selling out the Garden yet, Little Dicky. So it's just like, oh, they're pretty similar size. They know he's going to be there. You got fans like bringing him presents at this event, so it's like they're coming for Little Dicky, and then he's not performing tonight. Okay, Gaeta, we'll check that out. But all right, I don't know. I don't have too much more to say with Dave. I really want to get into our next one here. It might be an elongated quick check, but we got to break it down. Succession, the 3rd episode of this 4th season here. It's Connor's wedding. We only discussed the premiere on the last podcast episode, but this week's episode really warranted it. I mean, the big news, everyone's up in arms about it. Everyone's talking about it. Let's get right to it. Willa actually married Connor. That's the craziest thing that happened on Succession this week. Nothing else even came close. That was the big story. That's what everyone's talking about, right? That's what, Kyle?
Yeah, for sure. That's what got spoiled for me.
That's what got spoiled for you in the title of the episode.
Yeah.
That got you. Okay. That's not really the big news. But that's how the show kind of presented it to us. That's how they got us. It was labeled Connor's wedding. Immediately after his rehearsal the night before, okay, this episode's starting. And I should say right now, we are spoiling this episode. We are spoiling Succession. We are going to say the stuff that happened. This episode starts off normal. It's a Succession episode. There's the funny brass American band that Connor mentioned was going to be playing at his wedding. And we're just going through it. And then there's a phone call. There's actually a couple phone calls. Shiv is getting them from Tom. She's ignoring them. Finally calls either Kendall or Roman, one of the boys here. And we find out Logan's not doing well. And by the end of the episode, he's in a body bag. Logan Roy, the media mogul, is dead at 84.
Oh my God.
This is a real headline from the Los Angeles Times.
It's so absurd.
So let's break it down, Kyle. Logan is dead.
Yeah. This episode was so good, but I actually love the way they did it. Yeah. How he went back, because we see him at the end of the last episode, and I think he said something real to his kids for once when he said, "You're not serious people," because they're not. Because why would he take them seriously when they're not really, And so then we see him turn back into like his aggressive self, and you think, man, he's coming back. Like, this is the dude. And then
he's standing up on those reams of paper. He's yelling, we're back in business, baby.
Yeah. I think it's great that they didn't really show his body. And then it just became this aftermath, and it was just played well by everyone. And we actually see the impact. The impact of him dying was greater than the death itself. And I think that's what was important about the episode.
Yeah. I mean, the acting brilliant across the board, how everyone dealt with the grief, with the announcement, with everything. Supposedly, I mean, they shot it for multiple days, but one of those days they did a take where it was just 30 minutes from like the announcement, through the whole thing for the kids on the boat, just to kind of get the, as a play for them, like as, getting the full range of emotions that they would go through. And they took a lot of snippets from that take and made it into the episode. And it's just brilliant how they did this, where, again, it's a Succession episode at first. Like, you're watching these 10, 15 minutes, you got the jokes, you got the, people hating each other, the F-offs, you got all that stuff going on. And then you just see, like, Tom is trying to call Shiv, and it's real. You think it's the divorce, or you think it's whatever, ignores it, like does it again. And you're just like, okay, that's weird. Like something, it just feels weird. And then when Tom calls them, it's like this, he's like unsure of what's going on. There's like an odd calm to this, like all of it for him, because what I'm guessing is they went through that, like already they went through their like craziness, the chaos, because like, and then they're like, oh crap, we gotta call the kids. This is serious. And like so you're seeing it from mostly the kids' perspective on this. We're in the shoes from the Roy children here. You don't see Logan, falling or the start of this whole thing. You see it in the middle of it, and we don't see much of it. We knew as much as they did. Like, if you were getting a phone call and you're just hearing the other end, like, wait, what's going on right now? And at first I was even worried, like, is this some kind of crazy trick that Tom is doing? Because again, they were oddly calm. Is it some kind of fake out, make sure this deal goes through with Dojo? It's like, it was just, and I've heard stuff that they were even going to spend even more time with the kids initially. And because they shot all the stuff on the boat, and then like a week later, they shot the stuff in the plane, and they're just going to get some stuff, but they loved what Tom was doing, what Matthew McFadyen was doing so much that they added more in there. But you never really see, Logan. Like, you see, someone getting chest compressions. You see part of his face maybe at one point, but you don't see him. You see him board the plane, and that's it. And that's it for him for the series. And it's just such a wild choice to do it in episode 3. I don't like, where do we go from here? Like,
I mean, I think it's a genius move. And I think because it really puts the showdown now on the rest of the kids, where the whole show has been about like this larger than life force that he's protecting all of them, and they're free to do their little games, with him steady at the top. But now they're going to have to play these games with daddy's not there anymore. And they're really going to have to show when the vultures start, coming in. So, so this is going to be an interesting thing. I think it's a great thing for the show to do. Really takes you off guard. And I mean, it kind of makes the audience feel just the way these characters might feel, because we've gotten to know Logan Roy, and then he's taken away from you just like that. There's no big send off for the audience either.
I'm so glad that this happened the way it did, because like, I think we all could kind of feel like he was going to die at some point. Maybe like, episode 9, episode 10 is the funeral or something like that. But by this, we get to really see the ramifications of what the pilot pretty much promised. The pilot was pretty much, he got really sick, and it's like, okay, who's going to succeed him? Like, that's what caused this whole thing to start. And now we get to really see it play out for almost a full season of how's this going to go? And, there's so many questions with this. It's like, is the Gojo deal like dead? I mean, now there's a board meeting to have to choose the successor, and the kids want in on this. You got Carl and Frank, they want their names on the statement, on the draft. You got Carrie, or Chuckles the clown, smiling a little bit in her weird like grief moment of like what just happened.
Yeah.
So,
but then also, don't we technically have Logan's wife who has board seats too, right? And Howell, right? Or did she cash out?
I think she cashed out at the end of season 3, and that was the whole where he makes fun of, you must have a super majority to like, it was they renegotiated her, or at least the first wife. Yes, their moms. But
I'm saying the other one, because now that Logan's dead, like that was nipped in the bud. But now, I don't know.
There's so much to this too, because it's like, okay, well, you got Tom, for instance. I mean, obviously he did what he did at the end of season 3. Well, now his protector is gone. Does he go back to Shiv? I mean, there's obviously some animosity there, but he did try calling her twice, and maybe that'll be like, I tried to be there for you. But it's also, you have this thing where, well, we haven't even talked about it really yet, but before the episode really takes off, before the flight goes, we hear that Roman has to fire Jerry as CEO, and that he's going to fire Sid. And so for Tom to take over, well, did he have time to fire Sid, for Tom to take over ATN, or does it even matter at this point because of what happened? And there's all those questions. And we could talk a little bit, this Roman forcing, Jerry, or I guess Logan forcing Roman to fire Jerry. It's like that whole relationship is destroyed now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could feel it when Roman needed some kind of comfort in that moment. She was cold, understandably so to him, cold, when he needed support, for his dad dying. And I'll say it, this is a possible thing that could happen. It was in the previously on, they mentioned the season 3 episode about those texts, and how that could be a possible lawsuit. Now with Jerry,
and we have Matthew McFadden's character, saying delete my logistics folder, so we got a bunch of lawsuit stuff happening.
Yeah, so I think it's like, well, with Logan gone, with Jerry now CEO, what do I owe Roman right now? Like, it's just, how is this in my best interest, as she would say? So lot's gonna go down.
Every man for themselves at this point, I think. But I just want to go back to Shiv and Tom, that they had a moment where Tom was like really trying to help Shiv out, and Shiv kind of got snarky in like her old Shiv way of like, oh, so you can come in basically and take over. And Tom was like just silent. And then she was like, realized what she did. And he was like, said sorry. And that moment was just like, so I think maybe a turning point in their relationship toward the better. Hopefully. I mean, geez, but yeah.
And then
it's just a bunch of good moments.
Speaking of relationships, Connor and Willa tied the knot. That's the thing we always forget with this. The sad wedding with like 4 people in attendance.
Yeah.
And it goes back to like, with Roman at the start of the episode where he's like, wait, Dad, you're not even going to go to this wedding? And like, I think between that and then having him fire Jerry, it's like what the hell? Like, so it's just like I think he at that point he was like, I am done with that, like what he's putting me through, I'm done. But then cut to an hour later, it's like,
but also the guilt of the voicemail that he left too, that was the last thing he kind of said to his dad. And that's why he was asking, was my dad listening to in his phone when he was in the bathroom? Like, that's weirdly in that moment, Roman's still worried or thinking about like, did I kill my dad kind of thing? It's so wild. He's such a wounded puppy, man.
Yeah. But boy, what an episode.
Yeah,
It's
very
it's
good.
and I saw it all over Twitter. I think I even tweeted something about it. To all the other drama series that are eligible for this Emmy cycle, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. HBO was already cannibalizing itself with its 4 or 5 nominees that it was going to be shoo-ins for. It's this thing. It's this show. It's going to be a hard one to beat.
It's so good, man. It was a really, really, really good episode.
And we'll be talking about it. I mean, we did the premiere, we did this episode. Who knows if we check in before the finale, but get ready. I guess Memorial Day Monday, we're going to be talking about Succession series finale and the Barry series finale. So a big HBO night on that one. But wow, okay, that's it for this week. Last week we mentioned, we're going every other week for a bit on Monday nights, and while we are off next week, we're actually going to do 2 in a row. So these 2, we got Monday, April 24th, the summer box office draft. It's tradition. We got to do it before the start of the box office season. It's kind of a box office summer movie preview. So we'll go through that. That's always a fun one. And then the following Monday, another big show. We'll probably do a mid-season check at that point on Barry's final season. We have Beau is Afraid, an Ari Aster film from A24. And then we're going to say goodbye to our friend and colleague, James Corden, the final Late Show. We'll be talking about it one last time for John to, let's see. Is it going to be there? Is it going to be there?
I can bring it up there.
Oh, there it is. Perfect.
Does he have that thing on speed dial? How does he get it?
It's ready. It's ready to go.
Yeah,
it's on his Zoom. Wait a minute. Like it's probably in his Zoom so much that it'll be like during a work meeting, and all of a sudden, whoops, wrong button. Get out of here.
It's stuck. Sorry.
All right. Well, all right. That is all we got for this week. You can find these episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, Twitch. We're live Monday nights, twitch.tv/Dual Redundancy, 8 p.m. Eastern. Like I said, the next one is April 24th and then May 1st. And you can also follow us on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok at Dual Redundancy. I got to thank both of you guys for joining me tonight, talking about so many different TV shows. For John directing the show, putting it up on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. I couldn't do it without you guys, so thank you so much. But until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Dual Redundancy. In honor of Logan Roy, F off.